You may not know this, but Lost Caverns of Ixalan gave us a new powerful werewolf. By day, this deck is sweet, but by night we can now totally take over the game with powerful additional triggers. Hey everyone, Hex here, and brush off those werewolves you have lying around, because today they are back and pack a bigger punch than ever before. That's because we now have an honorary werewolf from Lost Caverns in Roaming Throne. Hopefully you know what it does, as it is the best card from the new set in my opinion, but if not, it is a 4/4 4-drop artifact creature that when it ETBs, you name a creature type, and all triggered abilities from creatures that share that type trigger an additional time. Now werewolves have so many triggered abilities, I don't know where to start, but the key to this deck is to get it to nighttime ASAP to fully experience the craziness. The dream start though is dropping a Kessig Naturalist on turn 2. It gains a mana when it attacks, and hopefully means a turn 3 throne. If you can then attack with it the following turn, you can net 2 mana because of the Throne's double trigger, and maybe even then drop a 6-drop on turn 4, and we have 2 of those. Firstly, Tovolar's Huntmaster. By day it creates 2 2/2 wolves when it ETBs, but by night it also makes 2 when it attacks. So pair this with the Throne and golly, you can make a whole pack of wolves. We also have Avabruck Caretaker. It has hexproof, and at the beginning of combat you put 2 +1/+1 counters on the target creature, but by night it gives all creatures hexproof, and you put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature. Again, pair this with the Throne to double those triggers and put 4 +1/+1 counters on each creature each turn. It is so amazing. The other key creature we're running today is Reckless Stormseeker. This was my favourite creature for the longest time, and I still have a massive soft spot for it, but it's a 2/3 that gives the target creature +1/+0 and haste until end of turn at the beginning of combat, but if it's nighttime, target creature gets +2/+0 and trample and haste. Once again, you gotta imagine how powerful this can be. With the Throne on the battlefield, you get to double all these triggers, and you can even give your Nightbound Huntmaster haste to make even more wolves. We're running Tovolar 2, which is a cheeky way to turn it to night, as you only need 3 wolves in your upkeep for this to happen, plus this card draws you multiple cards each turn with all its triggers. I've got Outland Liberators to deal with enchantments, Howlpack Piper for some cheaty action to drop our 6-drops. We can even give the Piper haste if needed, and I'm playing Arlinn. My whole game plan is to keep the board Nightbound, so Arlinn would then be attacking as a 5/5 indestructible, hasty trampler. Interaction wise, play with fire primarily for those mana dorks, Volcanic Spite and Witchstalker Frenzies, all instants, all to hopefully play on opponent's turn to keep it nighttime. The Frenzy though is the perfect answer today for Dinosaurs it seems. I've got Unnatural Moonrise to cheekily switch it to nighttime, and Royal Treatment for some protection for our chunky creatures. 24 lands, and that's the deck. The Roaming Throne has been such a cool card to reimagine a werewolf deck years after it was last played. It's super effective, and if you play against opponents who haven't necessarily played with day and night creatures, it can totally surprise them and make them play off curve. Let me know what you think of werewolves in the comments below. Drop a like, and if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. Thank you all for the support that you give this channel, and I hope you enjoy some good old-fashioned werewolf beatdown. Alright, on the draw with a mulligan here. This hand looks better. We have the Naturalist, which we're going to want to jam on turn 2, attack, and fingers crossed find a 4-drop that we can cast on turn 3. So, see how this goes. Opponent with a Lawkeeper, so Dinosaurs it looks like, and I'm pretty glad we have the Play with Fire in our hand to shoot their mana dork and keep them off a chunky turn 3 play. We're definitely going to want to be jamming this Naturalist this turn. And we pick up a Roaming Throne, which is exactly the card we're looking for. It means we can play that next turn. Roaming Throne, our honorary werewolf of the day. And we will attack here. I doubt the opponent's going to block with their Yearling. And if they do, so be it. We still get the Roaming Throne onto the battlefield. Roaming Throne, I think, is the perfect card in a werewolf deck, as there are so many triggers, and if we can get this into night, the triggers are even better. Opponent with Ixalan, and this 2/3 allows you to pay 2 for one of your creatures to bite one of our creatures. So we lose our Naturalist, but it's kind of done its job, so we draw a Cavern of Souls. Not the greatest card for us to have this turn, but by not playing a spell, we actually turn it to nighttime, which is what our deck really wants to do. It's important we find a way to get it to night pretty early on. And they get in there with their 4-3, we will take that. They did play Invigorating Hot Springs, so that's a spicy addition to their deck. We get another Naturalist, but it comes down as Lord of the Elven World, which is a 3-3 and makes all other werewolves +1/+1. So the Roaming Throne there attacked as a 5-5. So if we attack with the team next turn, we're going to create 2 mana, but another Itzquinth means that the Yearling can fight our Lord of the Elven World. And the opponent gets in there for 7. But most importantly for us, it's still nighttime. So we get to cast our Avabruck Caretaker, and we're going to be able to put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature twice due to it being night and Roaming Throne on the battlefield, and suddenly our board is bigger than theirs. Our creatures both have hexproof, and we have the Liberator as well to play, which can deal with maybe the Hot Springs. But no real attacks for them. And we've kind of stalled the game out for them a little bit. So this is why it's important to get the game to nighttime, get our Caretaker down. And suddenly we have a 3-3 on the battlefield, Frenzied Trapbreaker. 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature twice, and we'll attack with our 14-14 and our 12-12. We're going to force 2 blocks here. And we're getting aggressive here. I will chump with the Trap Breaker if I have to. But opponent really needs to double spell. And it's a land for them, so they're not going to be double spelling. And even a massive creature here is not good enough. Opponent scoops it up, and we take down Dinosaurs. Alright, on the play. Pretty nice hand here. 2 Stormseekers and our Roaming Throne. Only 2 land though, so we're just going to need to find another one of them. Or a Kessig Naturalist. But we'll play our tap land just in case we don't find a land. Opponent with a Kumano here, so got to suggest mono red. So we find a Copperline Gorge, and we'll hold open at the Play with Fire and hopefully shoot whatever they want to play. It is a Charming Scoundrel, comes down with a +1/+1 counter on it. We'll let the trigger resolve in case they want to put a Wicked Roll onto their creature before we shoot it. We're definitely going to be on the aggressive side in this game. Don't want to be too passive against mono red. We find a tap land, so going to jam the Stormseeker here and get in there for 3. Going to find it difficult to make the game turn to nighttime, as the red decks generally have a lot of low cost spells. And it is a Phoenix Chick for them, and they get in there for 3 damage. They do have some mana open though. We'll play Roaming Throne here. And Roaming Throne names Werewolf, and I guess we'll just we have 2 triggers here off the Stormseeker, so we'll just spread the wealth a little bit. I guess we could have pumped the throne twice, as the chances of them having like a lightning strike were high, and they couldn't really target the throne, but so be it. They did shoot our creature though, but they had to use one of their premium spells to do that. And they hold back their Etching, and they don't play a spell, so it does go to nighttime. That's exactly what we wanted. There's no way I'm going to attack into the opponent's board here. They've purposely held back their Etching. Clearly they have a Play with Fire. So we'll just play our Trap Breaker here, and we'll just pass the turn. And we'll just make sure we don't double spell here, just to ensure that we keep it nighttime. When we attack with the Trap Breaker next turn, we can deal with Etching of Kumano, opponent with a Dracosaur, and you know what? We have lethal in our hands. I'm pretty certain of it. It's still nighttime, so we can just play our Stormseeker here. We can go to attacks, and we can just pump some of our creatures. Doesn't matter which one, because we can shoot the Dracosaur with our Witchstalker Frenzy. Right after the trigger of Trapbreaker can deal with their Etching. Yeah, shoot the 5-5, and this is 14 damage, and we can smash the opponent out of nowhere, and that's the power of Roaming Throne and Stormseeker. Alright, on the draw here, And I really like this hand. Let's just, fingers crossed, we find a third mana. We find Arlinn. Okay. Still got a couple more chances to find our third mana because Stormseeker into Roaming Throne, then have the Huntmaster as a sort of backup play is excellent. Don't find our mana. If we do find a land, I'm going to want a Stormseeker. So I'm going to get cheeky, and I'm going to turn it to nighttime. I think this might be good if we can make sure that the opponent stays on one spell a turn, and we find a couple more lands. Yeah, so that was a bit cheeky, but, you know, you got to play your outs, and we did find a land, so our Stormseeker comes down. It's going to come down as Storm Charged Slasher. And this is going to be attacking as a 5/4. So are we racing our opponent here? Looks like we might be. Opponent with Virtue of Loyalty. They're going to throw a 2/2 maybe in front of it. But this has Trample. And they elect not to block. They really need to double spell if they can. But Kayla's command is going to make it so they probably can't double spell. They do gain a couple of lives. Scry 2. Search for a Plains. And I guess their Voice of the Blessed is now a 3/3. Okay. Still nighttime. So we find a Naturalist. Well, I'm going to just stay on the beatdown here and play the other Stormseeker. So this is attacking for 10. Could have played the Naturalist there to kind of guarantee some mana next turn. But I think we're absolutely on the beatdown plan here. Because any mana we find is going to be able to mean a hasty throw next turn. Opponent with a Wandering Emperor. So a pretty nice answer here for one of our werewolves. They gain some life, so the voice is going to increase. And they do not attack. So they've gone on the defensive here, which is what I wanted. We find a land, we'll name Werewolf. We'll play Roaming Throne, we'll name Werewolf. And yeah, I mean, we get 2 triggers off the slashers, and I'm just going to do what I've been doing all day, and that's just be ultra aggressive. Force the opponent into chumps, force them into blocks. They go down to 4, although we lose our slasher. They are on 4 life. They cash in their Emperor, which is a good sign for us, surely, and hopefully they play this Virtue of Loyalty. They don't, it's borrowed time. And they have just enough mana to pay for the war cost on our Roaming Throne. And we find another Naturalist. Okay, so it is nighttime, don't forget. So Arlinn can come down, and we can instantly turn it into a 5/5 werewolf creature with Trample, Indestructible, and Haste. And they are being forced into another block here. We are 100% keeping this nighttime because this is going to be a nightmare for them to deal with. Elspeth Resplendent, okay. I guarantee they're looking for another borrowed time here. There we go, they are -3ing. And they find an ambitious farmhand. 1/1, that ain't going to do it. Our Arlinn's going to have Trample. And yeah, opponent just scoops it up when they realise that we have the lethal there. Alright, on the play. And you've got to love this hand with the Naturalists. Hopefully into a Caretaker sooner than turn 6. But we'll see how this one pans out. We'll play our tap land turn 1. Shame we didn't have a red land that was untapped for the play of fire, but opponent didn't do anything, and they look like they're on a Rakdos deck so far. We'll name Werewolf, and we'll play the Naturalist. The chances of this surviving to our next turn are pretty slim, but you got to play your spells. Opponent with a Bloodline Harvester, Blood Tithe Harvester. Right, well, we don't actually have a turn. Well, we don't have a 4 mana spell. We'd love to have a Roaming Throne here, and I would have just absolutely played the Naturalist or attacked with the Naturalist into their Harvester, but I think what we'll do here is we'll just play the other Naturalist. And I guess we'll just shoot the Harvester and attack. We do gain a mana out of this one, but it's fine. So next turn we can play the Caretaker if we choose. Opponent is going to use their blood. That is an Ashiok in their graveyard. And they Molten Collapse one of our Kessig Naturalists, but keeps it daytime. So we draw another Naturalist. Okay. I guess we'll play this Naturalist now. Play our land. And I'm actually going to Moonrise just to get a bit more extra damage through here. 5 damage to our opponent. We did double spell. But we do draw a card. And it is a Cavern of Souls. Alright, well, next turn, hopefully we can get our Caretaker down. Fortunately, it is not going to be nighttime, but so be it. Opponent wants us to sack a creature, and we will sack one of our Naturalists. And there's a throne. Okay. Alright, we're in a decent shape here, I would have thought. We can turn it to night if we want with our Moonrise. But I think we'll just attack down Liliana. I don't really want to have to discard a card. And let's get down the... I guess we want the most mana efficient play here. So I think we'll get down the Caretaker. Although it's coming down in daytime and that really isn't what I want. We don't really need the mana anymore if they want to shoot the Naturalist. And the Caretaker does have Hexproof. Opponent with Shelly. That's fine. It's a Huntmaster, okay. Interesting decision here. So we're going to be able to put 2 +1/+1 counters on another target creature. But if we play the Roaming Throne first, we can put 4 +1/+1 counters on our Naturalist. This can attack as a 6/6. And we'll see if they want to block using their Sheoldred. We do gain a load of mana, but nothing we can do with that right now. Opponent down to 7. Alright. This is a big turn for them. They need to deal with our creatures here. It is a Sheoldred's Edict. Interesting decision for us here. I think we're going to get rid of the 6/6. It's kind of... Although it's mana for us, I think this is fine. We can always turn it to nighttime with our Unnatural Moonrise. But I didn't really want to get rid of either of my other 2 creatures. They are my best cards. We find another Naturalist, okay. Right, so we're going to get 4 +1/+1 counters, but I think we're going to Unnatural Moonrise to turn it to nighttime. And then we're going to get 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature. I'm just going to jam. Obviously, Shelly's going to be able to block, but I think we just need to get in there. Opponent goes down to 4. Although we lose our chunky creature, we draw a couple of cards, we keep our Roaming Throne on the battlefield, and we have some decent cards in our hand. It is another Dracosaur, and for the second game running, we can just shoot the Dracosaur with Witchstalker Frenzy. It is the perfect answer, and we've kind of just been beating down the opponent, but that game flipped when we managed to turn it to nighttime. Alright, on the play. And we'll keep this. Our land situation here looks very similar to a game a little earlier. But we'll see how this one goes. Opponent with Kumano. So if we're up against mono red, I don't mind our chances. We just got to be aggressive. And the Naturalist there is the perfect draw for us. So we get to cast that. Then hopefully next turn, attack and ramp into Roaming Throne. Opponent with a Bunnycorn, so they are Boros. I think we'll just go to attacks here. Whatever happens, we'll be able to drop our Roaming Throne. They might be worried about a pump spell on our behest. So let's just attack. If they block, I probably will shoot it and then play Tovolar. Okay, well they don't. Let's drop this Roaming Throne here. So, we're up against a Boros kind of low to the ground deck, it looks like. Leveraging the Bunnycorn. They go to attacks with both their creatures. Well, I'm not going to block. They've clearly got Monstrous Rage in their hand, as our Roaming Throne has Ward, so we'll let that one go through. But they are stuck on 2 mana, it seems. Although we're a little bit stuck on mana ourselves. But we'll definitely go on the attack ourselves. We gain 2 mana here because of the Naturalist and the Roaming Throne. Opponent. Yep, there's the Monstrous Rage. I was suggesting they probably had. So we can shoot that Initiate. Probably not the creature I necessarily wanted to kill, but it was going to block one of our creatures. And we have 4 mana here, so let's go for Arlinn and make some wolves. We'll see how this one pans out. We really need to turn it to nighttime. We can do that with Tovolar in our hand. Put it with a Phoenix Chick. And that's going to deal with our Planeswalker, which is not a problem. So we find a Caretaker. Okay. So, unfortunately, we don't have a 6th mana for the Caretaker. But playing Tovolar here should be enough for us to turn it to night next turn. As in our upkeep, we have more than 3 wolves. We'll see if Tovolar survives. It's Angel Fire Ignition on the bunny. Okay. Okay, that is a good one for them, as the bunny now has Lifelink, Trample, Indestructible, and Vigilance. They go up to 16. We do make it nighttime, which is pretty nice, and we do find our Cavern of Souls. Really want to play this Caretaker. I think I'm going to have to Kamikaze our Lord of the Ulvenwald here. Attack with one of the wolves as well. Make some mana. They'll block. Yeah. And I think what we'll do is I really want to get this Caretaker down. So that's what we'll do this turn. Not sure why we're in full control there, but all our creatures now have hexproof. Second main Huntmaster isn't the greatest thing in the world, but can we survive this one turn? If we can, I feel like we might be able to just win the game next turn. Another Ignition on the bunny. They get in there with their Phoenix Chick. We're going to have to make a block. I'll block with Tovolar for the minute, as we need to stick 4 toughness behind this bunny. Alright, can we win this turn? We find a mountain. The Huntmaster's going to put 2+1/+1 counters twice on our creatures, so we want to play a spell pre-combat, and we'll play one of our Liberators. Don't want to play them both, as I don't really want to turn it to daytime. But we have a massive chunky board here. Guess we're going to die to this Phoenix Chick, aren't we? I wasn't really thinking about that one. I wonder if we could have played this game any differently. I was so concerned with the bunny. I forgot about the Phoenix Chick that can just attack over the top. Our opponent with Thundering Raiju anyway. Yeah, the bunny. Maybe I should have put more in front of that bunny last turn. This Thundering Raiju probably would have killed us anyway, but that was a good game. Okay, on the play. And no 2-drops for us. We do have a Tovolar, so I will keep this hand and hope we can curve out nicely. Opponent name's Human, and they play a Lunarch Veteran as we find a Cavern of Souls. So, slow start for us. I want to be making it as nighttime as quick as possible, but unfortunately we need to play one of our day-night cards for that to occur. And opponent with Thalia shouldn't be too much of a problem. We haven't got too many non-creature spells in our deck. But let's drop Tovolar here. And at least we might be able to start drawing some cards when we attack with it. Coppercoat Vanguard for our opponent. So they are actually probably playing my favourite deck in Standard at the moment, which is the Boros or Mardu humans. No blocks on the Thalia here. So we find a Stormseeker. Alright, well, we're just going to probably just try and go bigger and wider than they can. And a 4/4 is pretty big and wide. We'll attack with Tovolar though. Maybe this is a cheeky attack, but they're going to... I don't care if they want to double block. We do draw 2 cards from this. And it is a Liberator and a Howlpack Piper. Okay. Howlpack Piper could be nice with getting the Huntmasters onto the battlefield quickly. And it is Arlinn for our opponent. They get in there with both their veterans. Well, they're going to lose one of these. I'm not too concerned about the life gain. But yeah, we'll definitely take out one of those veterans. I'm not sure if that was necessarily worth it on their behalf, but I don't know what's in their hand. So let's drop our Stormseeker, and we'll drop the Liberator as well. And we'll see if we can find a way to sneak a win next turn, because the Tovolar is actually going to turn us to nighttime if we can keep 3 werewolves on the battlefield. Opponent with another veteran, okay. And Inti. Alright, so I do like their deck. They're missing maybe an Impakal, and I like playing Ishin in that deck, and Roaming Throne, to start doubling up triggers here. But loads of triggers for our opponent, loads of life gain as well. Inti is going to make, I guess, Arlinn have Trample. Okay, it's a 10-5 with Trample. So as long as we don't die here, we're going to absolutely go for the win next turn. And I guess this is 12 damage, so we need to block something. We'll take all of Arlinn's damage, and we'll take care of their 2-1. But most importantly, we keep 3 werewolves on the battlefield. It becomes nighttime. And we have a choice here between the Caretaker and the Huntmaster. Well, we need bodies, and I think the Huntmaster 100% here. It's going to make 4 2/2s, and if we can give our pack leader haste and attack, that will be another 4 2/2s, but opponent scoops it up anyway. Alright, on the draw, and our hand is a little bit passive, a little bit slow, but we do have a play with fire, so that might be able to bail us out if we need it. Put it with the planes. And they're not doing anything, so maybe they're a draw-go sort of style deck, and that kind of suits us if we can get one of our creatures down. Especially one of our night-day creatures. A couple of Field of Ruins for our opponent. And they go to shoot our Ridgeline. Well, that's fine. I'm just kind of playing this in our deck as a way to get like an extra creature in our mana base, but I'm not too reliant on the creature lands, to be completely honest. In fact, I think them coming in tapped makes this deck slightly worse. But we'll play with fire the opponent's face, because I need to find some gas here, and it doesn't look like they're playing anything. And they did find a swamp, so up against Orzhov. Drop Tovolar though. Goes to daytime, so opponent needs to kill Tovolar or play a spell, and they don't. And we find a Roaming Throne. Well, that is fantastic, because we can cast this, and we can attack and draw 2 cards. Or not. Opponent does have Go for the Throat. They may well have wanted to cast that on their turn. The thing with Werewolves is it does change the play pattern slightly. And unless you played with them a lot, you played against them a lot, because it was a little while ago since they first came into Standard. You definitely want to be playing spells on your turn. So we get to play our Trap Breaker as a 3/3. Another Field of Ruin. Takes care of our Cavern of Souls. Okay. Not a problem. We have enough basics in our deck to deal with this. And opponent absolutely needs to do something now, because we've got the Huntmaster or Caretaker next turn. And they don't. They go to discard. Alright, well, we'll name Werewolf, and let's go for Caretaker. Let's go for the Throat on our Trap Breaker. Okay. But this is going to pump up our team, and we're attacking with an 8/8. If we had the Stormseeker, I would have played the Tovolar's Huntmaster. But our creatures now have Hexproof. And yeah, opponent can't deal with that. They scoop it up.